Everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Cream number 14. Cash rules everything around me. I am the host, Jason Matthews, with my co-host, Norm. How you doing today, Norm?
I'm doing great, man. If I was any better, I'd be guilty.
Good. Before we get started, we want to let everybody know there's a giveaway we're giving out. The giveaway is we're giving out some nice, dope Cream t-shirts. And for order for you to receive it, we need you to post or share the Cream podcast on any of your social media outlets. For us to know about it, please share it and tag us when you do share it. And we'll be doing that all the way up until June 15th.
That's great. So giving out those beautiful new Cream podcast t-shirts that we got made. And all they have to do is post an episode, the graphic, the link, YouTube link on their social media, their Facebook or Instagram, and then just tag you and they'll be eligible. So am I eligible to win? I want one of those t-shirts.
Oh, we'll send you one of those t-shirts, but you are ineligible to win. We'll just send you one, Norm.
You know what's funny too? True story. The other day I was walking around down here and I see someone had a Wu-Tang logo t-shirt that said Cream. And I almost ran up to him. I almost was like, "Oh, you listen to the Cream podcast?" And then I had to check myself. I said, "Oh yeah, I forgot. There's a pretty good musical group called Wu-Tang Clan that made a song called Cream. It's not the podcast came first, huh?"
Right. It's not the podcast that came first.
Well, great. That's a fantastic giveaway, and I'm excited to roll into episode number 14 here. Jason, these days we have a lot of volatility in the stock market and people are checking their accounts or their portfolios daily and freaking out and seeing a lot of red and negative numbers, and they're wondering what's going on, and a lot of fear and emotion comes in play. So why do we stick and don't sell when the market starts crashing?
It's easy because we forget the whole anthem, which is buy low, sell high. And as the market crashes, values go down. And then we have then we start having the fear. But Norm, did you know, going back to the start of 1997, the daily return for the S&P 500 was positive only 54% of the time? You're right. And what's crazy, that means the market ended down on any given day almost half the time, over 6,379 observations or days. It delivered an average 8% average return, and the market was up only slightly more than half the days. So give you guys a heads up on an easier way to look at it. So think about half the days, the market's up, half the days, pretty much the market was down. But at the end of it, all it was said and done, the market was up 8%, and which is a crazy number just to really think about it. That on average, the market been averaging 8% since 1997, while we're going through these crazy times.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, good information, and that's why you stick in the market even when values go down and even when stocks go down, and you don't panic, huh?
Exactly, you don't panic, and it's there's a couple of things. If you're young, you have a longer time horizon than somebody older, so ride the wave. If you're using this for your retirement accounts and you're in your 20s or early 30s, you still got 20, 30 years left towards retirement, which is great. If you're in retirement or getting close to retirement, this is where those lifetime income annuities helps out, where you put the portion of your money for your basic expenses into an annuity to cover your basic expenses every month. And then while you let the rest of it that you don't need after your basic expenses for tomorrow, you can allow that money to be in the stock market. So those are just some common things I like to recommend people to do.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Jason. That's good information. Jason, now we have the most unpopular segment of the podcast, Inflation Watch. Everyone's getting hit by inflation. Prices are going up left and right. No one's happy about it. The Fed is putting the economy on shaky ground just to try to combat inflation. But you have some interesting stats today about what's gone up and what hasn't.
Yes. So here's a couple of things that has went up like crazy. As we all see, gasoline is up 43.6%. Airfare is up 33.3% year over year. Used cars, 19.9%. Hotel rooms, 19.7%. New vehicles, 13.2%. Food at home, 10.8%. And rental cars, 10.4%.
Wow. So that's year over year, just over 12 months. Gasoline up 43%, airfare up a third. Food, all these other items up 10, 15%. That's bonkers. But not everything has gone up in price. As we see, some things have stayed relatively stable, have stuck with what traditional inflation is, or even have gone down. So we've seen, for instance, rents across the US have only gone up 4.8%, which is actually in line or even lower than what we might see in a normal year. Alcohol has only gone up 3.9%. Thank God, because we all need alcohol these days. Medical care has only gone up 3.2%. Education 2.5. College tuition has only gone up 2.1. Prescription drugs have only gone up 1.7%. And this is where it's interesting. There's two categories that have gone down in price. Toys have gone down 0.3%. And then IT hardware and services, so basically the things we need to build computers or service them, have gone down 0.9% or almost 1%. So supply chain issues, wars in Europe, inflation, the economy, everything. But there are some things that have remained relatively stable.
Yay. I want to give a shout out to Flippin' Soul Restaurant, Brian and Phoebe Mouton. Love their food. We'll just give out a shout out to good friends of mine at Flippin' Soul Restaurant, where they put soul mixed with flip and soul together. So I just want to give a shout out to them. Right now, during the market changes, where market volatility is going up and down every day, one thing that's getting more attractive since rates have been going up is fixed index annuities right now. If you're trying to look at your bond portfolio, trying to see how you might want to mix it up a little bit, consider using fixed index as a replacement to your traditional bonds. As bond values have going down, a fixed index annuities value has been going up as our cap limits and cap growth's been growing due to higher inflation and cap rates going up. Once again, consider fixed index annuities in your retirement portfolio to replace your bonds in your portfolio.
Why we won't see a housing crash like 2008. Since the crash, we've gotten totally stable, conservative loans with bigger down payments, with higher credit. It's not stated income, no asset. It's all full document, 30-year fixed loans. They're not adjustable. They're not neg am. And then buyer demand is still so high.
What do you think is going to happen in the housing market?
Nothing. It's going to balance out a little bit. But it's so geared towards sellers and has been for 2 years that it'll balance out a lot more towards buyers, but prices aren't going to go down, I don't think.
You know what I've been seeing a lot more of? ARM rates are going back up. More people are looking at ARMs again, which is very interesting.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, so a 30-year fix has gone to 5.2% or 5.1%. Number one, that's still good.
5.6, it's more exact, but okay.
But I mean, still, it's so the cost of money is higher, right? But if you look at a 15-year fix, not only is your rate probably still, 3.9%, 4.25% or something, but you save an obscene amount of money in total interest paid or total payoff. And then, like you said, there's ARM loans, 5 years, 7, so someone could buy a house now and then hopefully refinance in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So, I track it all day long, and I don't really see that there's going to be any sort of crisis with, the number of foreclosures and forbearance and distressed loans and loans, people not making their payments on their mortgage are like record lows still.
Right.
Even with all the COVID amnesty being, going away. So I think that's going to be the one area of the economy that's still rock solid. It'll be more balanced. There won't be, the deal like in San Francisco and Sacramento. You put a listing on the market for sky high and people are bidding 100 grand over that, and waiving their appraisal and their contingencies and their inspection. And there's, 30 offers. I mean, it's stupid. So I think it'll come back to a more balanced market.
I agree with you on that. I think you're going to see 08. I think you might be some opportunities to buy some things, but you're not going to have nothing like 08.
Yeah.
Just think it's gonna be more affordable. You're gonna have less buyers who are able to purchase. And then, but also it's not going to just drop like it was. Oh 08 was crazy. Oh 08 to 010 was just crazy.
No, and that had more to do with the whole financial system and mortgage-backed securities and what these banks were doing, betting against themselves, and the whole deal with that, and the negam loans and stated income and the no asset, no. I mean, I was in the middle of it, right? It was absolutely. We used to joke that you could get the family dog a mortgage if you could get him a social security number. Um, it was absolutely reckless on a huge scale, but now people have record equity from these last 10 years or whatever. And so you think about if someone is distressed for some reason, and it wouldn't be because of their mortgage or their home, it would be maybe they lost their job or something, which happens anyways. All they would do is sell, probably still make a bunch of money, and then just go back to renting, um,
Right.
cash out or something. So these days, someone is at the controls of the mortgage market, making sure these loans are responsible and people actually qualify with their debt to income and their income levels and their credit scores. And so I think that there's probably never been a more healthy time for the housing and mortgage market when you consider that we have record equity. Um, that's a huge buffer. That's like bowling.
The buffers.
We have some big ass buffers in the housing and mortgage market. So we're going to be all right. Yeah.
Right. I totally agree. But that's why everybody thinks we might have some type of stagflation where you just won't have no economic. You hear that word more and more. Like it's going to be like the 70s, maybe where we don't have no economic growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you have a house, you buy your house, you're not going to, because rates are higher, you probably won't move. You won't decide to move again. You just stay right where you're at. Would it make sense for you to move? Because the cost of service debt is going to be more expensive on a financial side. But most things we do is not financially. We make emotional moves first. So,
Yeah, and interesting. And we have seen, at least in some areas, like in California, a little uptick of people staying in their homes longer. And that's, not hard to do compared to 2003 to 2008 when people were moving every, 2, 3 years just to try to cash in or buy a bigger house or something. But statistically, people are staying in their homes a little longer. They have longer terms, more stable loans. So yeah, it should be interesting, but definitely not looking at a housing crash like we saw in 2008. I think that's the one pillar of the economy that's going to stay rock solid.
yeah, I agree with you.
Jason, now we're going to talk about something that's pretty interesting. We've talked a lot of statistics and market data and facts and analysis of investments and the economy and financials. But now we're going to talk more macro, the question, how do we define being rich? And Americans were surveyed about the meaning of being rich. And we had some interesting results you're going to share with us.
Yeah. So 37% of the population thought that being rich is just being able to afford the life that you want. 30% of the population thought living a happy life, no matter how much you earn, is being rich. 19% says meaningful relationships with friends and family is being rich. 10% thought having a large nest egg, saving or investments. And for just 4% of the population say that earning a lot of money is being rich. So
Wow.
so very, very, very interesting how we actually consider rich.
Mm. Yeah, from those numbers, what I see is that, the income you make this month or what you bring in could be very temporary. It could change. You're never really going to get truly rich or, rich with family, with relationships, with family, I already said, with health, with being fulfilled in life just by what you earn. But it's important, of course, to have stable investments and security and a nest egg and savings, but then it really comes down to what you do with that and being able to live the life you want. And most importantly, your relationships with others, your health and family and friends.
Let me say this because if you guys don't know, Norm's in Colombia right now as we record this. How is it in Colombia? How do people look at being rich?
Basically, people, I think, here, you do get in other parts of the world and other countries, you do get the elite. You have the ultra rich who own everything. They have the properties, the houses, the farms, the businesses, the everything, and they come and go to Miami. They come and they send their kids to school in Los Angeles. I mean, they're wealthier than a whole lot of most Americans. They're even wealthy by American standards. But then you don't really have. There's a middle class here, but it's definitely smaller than the U.S. But the average person, I think for them here, being rich is probably having enough food to eat. They laugh a lot, they smile a lot, but people do really value friendships and relationships and sports. It's very healthy. They play a ton of sports and athletics here. So I think it's a pretty well balanced place. They definitely go out and enjoy themselves at night. I'll tell you that. So a little bit of everything, but I think that's on track with what you just talked about, relationships and family. And of course, you want to have enough and want to have something for tomorrow, but making the most of today is what really brings a rich lifestyle.
Are they focused on work as much as you see here in America? Where we so
Oh,
I feel
no.
like a lot of us are very work driven, where work is first and foremost in our lives. Is like that out
US?
there?
No, no. In fact, it's like that nowhere in the world except for probably Korea and Japan. Other than that, no one in the world, everyone's like, we're like, in the US, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy. Oh man. And it's like a badge of honor. Even I still do it. Like, you think you deserve respect or affirmation because you got that work ethic and I put in 60 hours a week. And I say it like I'm proud of it. And other people are like, oh man, that's, what the hell's wrong with you? That's terrible. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, balance is the key, man.
On the Cream podcast, now we're going to talk about a very, very important topic, probably more important than anything we talked about today, yet it has nothing to do with money. We're going to talk about health and mental health. So, Jason, in May, it was Mental Health Month. And though we didn't do a big segment on that on the Cream podcast, and this will probably come out in June, we did want to highlight the importance of mental health all year long. And then the third week of June is National Men's Health Week. So I wanted to ask you particularly, how important is health to you, mental health? What do you do on a daily basis, or what are some of your habits or hacks, or your focus on improving and preserving both your physical and your mental health?
So I do a couple of things. I'm a big routine person and ritual person. So first thing I do in the morning is I do a guided meditation for about 25 minutes every morning. And then I read. Let me go back and I think meditation is huge for my mental health. I think it's been very positive. I've been
Mm.
really focused on doing that this year. So that's a huge thing with my mental health. And then being an American, we get so caught up in work, and me and my friends are so busy, but 3 days a week we work out together. We go to gym, we have a trainer, we work out together, which is huge. And then I worked out 2 additional days on my own as well. Either I'm on my bike or at the gym, especially now that my 13-year-old son Kai, he's starting to learn how to use weights. So we try and work with him a little bit at the gym a couple of those times. So try just to get the mind and body right with the meditation and just the gym, and just being able to breathe and just take breaks when needed.
Wow, that's awesome. So, a couple things that you said there. Number one, like you said, meditation, and especially in the morning. All the studies and a lot of what people have told me, very successful people who get a lot done, but are also very balanced and live happy lives. Just they can't say enough about the importance of meditation. I know it's one of those things like yoga or eating right that I know I should do more of, but man, it's so hard for me just to sit. Number one, Indian style, I can't do that, but for me to sit and do nothing for a while. But I guess I've also learned there's different forms of meditation, right? Like you could sit out on a park bench in the sun with some nice mellow music at lunch hour and just breathe deeply and focus on releasing thoughts or just being there, and that could be a form of meditation to start, and you could work up to it a little bit, right? So what was your experience with starting, and did you have to practice to get better at just being still to get up to 20 minutes?
Oh, I'm sitting still, but I'm still practicing. I've never mastered one meditation session as I have done. The reason being why I say that is that my mind does wander, and I'll get distracted even during the guided meditation because I'm always thinking about things, and I don't focus on my breathing as much as I should for those 25 minutes. So I'm still practicing that, and I have that mastery just being in the moment during that period of time.
But it's also like, from what they say, it's also about releasing judgment so that I should be, focusing on my breathing more. I shouldn't be having these outside distracting thoughts. You can't win meditation, right? So that's part of the process, and maybe those thoughts are supposed to come and then you're supposed to release them, or sort of like little bubbles, they just float up and then just pop and go in the sky, right? So I think that's the whole process. And we shouldn't judge ourselves on if we're doing meditation, quote unquote, correctly, or if we're getting it right, or if how long we could sit still. It's just making it, like you said, making it a habit. That's where you really, really come out on top, and it makes a huge difference for your health and mental health.
Yeah, big time. I know it lowered my I say it lowered my blood pressure rate just by meditating. I give credit towards that big time for meditating. I've lowered my blood pressure uh, from it. So you're absolutely right. It's the one thing in life where it's like Planet Fitness is a no judgment zone when you meditate. You just always just it's just all just part of the process of just life, which is the
Mm.
beautiful thing from it.
And that's what they should be, having kids do in school and in prisons and in, tough neighborhoods, and kids with trauma. And there should be so much more counseling and teaching. Just imagine if, we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't even know what they do in school anymore. Imagine if we just did 10 minutes of meditation every day. There'd probably be a huge statistical change in the behaviors and mental health and anxiety and depression and suicide of the whole population, student or young population, over the course of years.
Yep, I totally agree. I even have my son starting. I have him meditating every day. I have him meditate in the morning before he goes to school. That's just part of his process now, where he has to meditate. Now, do I monitor him to do it daily? No, but that's what he's supposed to be doing every day is meditating. So he have his thought process better. He is focused on his breathing and help him be more conscious throughout the day.
Yeah, and just to reduce, stress. And I mean, we're so distracted. I read a stat actually for a client that the average person today takes in more information in 24 hours than the average person 100 years ago did in their lifetime.
Oh, I totally believe it. Think how often now with our cell phones we have to stay connected. First thing in the morning for what 20-25% of the population is on Facebook. So we're always getting bombarded. We have these alerts on our phones. We're addicted to technologies to always grab our
Oh,
attention.
plus the TV and email and computer screens, and then billboards and signs and advertising messages. I mean, our minds are just like super saturated. So that's the meditation is the near instant, quick, healthy, easy way to just hit reset. Sort of like on your computer, you have the junk, the trash bin or whatever, and you just that nice sound, and it's all gone. It's like gratifying because you feel like you just cleaned something up. That's sort of what you're doing with your mind when you meditate.
Yep, exactly.
So, and then you said a couple things with working out. Number one, the consistency is awesome, but then the group workout, and I've been, especially through COVID, very consistent with working out, but I'm also always doing it by myself. And so, number one, I think you get a lot in a group setting of the social, and you're encouraging. If you're having a bad day, you get, you're around others. It just feels good, right? When you're in a group setting and everyone's rowing, together in the same boat, trying to get through a hard workout. But I think also for me, it's the intensity. I'll never push myself as much as a trainer or a boxing coach. Like, I'm doing a lot more boxing stuff now here in Colombia. I'll never push myself as hard when I'm training,
Oh,
when I'm working out myself, and it's always like, oh, but there's no, I shouldn't do that. This hurts, that hurts. I'm checking my phone in between rounds. It's terrible. So I love that you do something in a group class or
oh,
with friends.
big. Oh yeah, big time. Shout out to Stone at OMP. He's a New Yorker who doesn't play. So me and my friends, we'll try to make it like a social hour, talk about life and bullshit a little bit too long. And he just stays on top of us. And he always thinks about creative new workouts to do. every 3 4 weeks he has a new thing, so we don't have the muscle memory. So we're always getting burnt and having these crazy workouts, which I just love. So yeah.
That's great. And yeah, and you do it with friends, and people that are, it's just a positive mental healthy thing, spirit too. Not just by yourself working out, just throwing some weights up in the gym. I mean, to me, that's so boring, but yeah, that's great. So that's a lot of things you're doing for your health, your mental health. I think it's also wonderful that you have these conversations and you share this with your sons,
Yeah.
um, where it's not taboo or not, yoga, meditation. When we were young, no one did that. It was like, what you're doing, you're weird. Why would you do that? But it's awesome now that they're going to grow up being familiar and knowing it's accepted and being able to choose a lot easier to integrate that into their lives.
Yep. You're right about that. And I just think if you're right, if we did it in schools, kids wouldn't deal with so much anxiety right now. We see with the suicide rate, depression rate, we see therapists are bombarded right now for mental health. So if we just did a little meditating and workout, I think that would help out a lot of people, especially when people were so isolated during COVID or isolated themselves so much in COVID. Our health deteriorated mentally and physically.
Yeah, well, fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that about your health and mental health, Jason.
Thank you all for listening to Cream Podcast episode number 14. Make sure you guys share to win that t-shirt. We really do appreciate you listening and staying in tune. Please let us know your thoughts on Cream episode 14, and we're out.